Federal investigators believe the Palisades fire may have been caused by another smaller fire that ignited in the same area. The Lachman Fire started on January 1st. A 29-year-old man has been arrested and charged with starting that New Year's Day fire. He pleaded not guilty. Prosecutors say the embers from the Lachman Fire may not have been completely extinguished, and the smoldering could have caused the Palisades fire. Tonight, we're hearing directly from state parks employees who were sent to the scene of the Lachman Fire. They recently testified about what they say happened after that fire erupted on January 1st. Here's Carolyn Johnson with more.
For the first time, you're seeing parts of the video depositions in the case against the state of California and the city of LA. And we also have just released drone video shot by a homeowner on January 1st that appears to show smoke burning at the southern end of the Lachman burn scar, where the Palisades fire ignited almost a week later.
I joined this lawsuit because people that are responsible for public safety need to be held accountable.
It just keeps blowing up and exploding.
And public safety did not happen in the Pacific Palisades.
David Howard and his family lost their home of more than 30 years on January 7th, just 2 hours after he evacuated.
This is the upper part is a separate street.
They're now in the process of rebuilding. What were the failings in your mind with the Lachman Fire and how that was dealt with back on January 1st?
I think I would start by saying what went right, which was nothing.
Recent testimony by California State Parks employees only add to his frustration.
Based on your observations when you hiked up and took photos on January 1st, you said you saw evidence of smoldering still occurring. Did that not cause you to think that the park should be closed to members of the public?
I did not believe it was necessary to close the park.
Even though you saw evidence of smoldering, correct?
Correct.
Did you communicate your observations of smoldering to anyone else in state parks?
No.
Call somebody when you see the smoke coming out of the ground. Call somebody, get somebody up there.
Roger Bailey and his firm represent the Howards and more than 3,000 others in this lawsuit. Among the defendants, the State Parks Department.
Because it's the state park's land, they have to be up there monitoring their own land. Now, if they see something, they could call CAL FIRE or they could call LAFD back. But it's their obligation because it's their land, and which is why their own operations manual says after a fire has burned state park land, the park area that's burned shall remain closed until department staff have gone up and inspected it and made sure there's no public safety issues.
A spokesperson for the State Parks Department says, in part, this misinterprets state parks policy. It is up to the park's discretion with visitor safety in mind. Also at issue, the state's so-called avoidance maps they share with firefighters, the red circles indicating protected plant species in the area. The state now says the Lachman Fire was not in an area marked as an avoidance area, nor even that close to those areas. But the ATF's map showing the Lachman Fire burn scar does appear to contain avoidance areas, and text messages shown in recent court filings exchanged between state parks employees on January 1st indicate environmentally sensitive plants were a concern. There is an endangered plant population and a cultural site in the immediate area. And so I imagine they are cutting at least some astragalus with those hand crews. Also this one, we will hold off for now until I hear heavy equipment is being deployed. Despite that exchange, the state says no one from state parks interfered with any firefighting activity, suppression or mop-up, nor influenced LAFD's decision to not use bulldozers as part of the firefighting response to the Lachman Fire. But lawyers for the fire victims point to photographs like this one, showing a state park's environmental scientist talking with firefighters. In recent testimony, that state biologist explained the conversation.
I eventually managed to connect with Chief Mullen. And yeah, I made the request that we pull in some of the cut vegetation to obscure the beginning of where that hand line was so people wouldn't get confused.
And did you take the firefighters to that location and point it out to them?
Yes.
There's still smoke coming out of the ground, and he goes and finds firefighters and a battalion chief and says, please come up here with your hand tools and return to the containment line you just dug all of the dry brush, all the fuel you just took out. To me, that's influencing or interfering with what the firefighters did.
The newest piece of evidence, Bailey says, is this drone footage shot by a Palisades resident at the southern end of the Lachman Fire burn scar.
The location that this drone video captures on January 1 is the exact location that has been determined by ATF to be the point of origin for the Palisades fire, and that's been confirmed by what we call photogrammetry analysis.
Look carefully and you can see wisps of smoke here on the left side of the screen, something Bailey says state employees should have noticed and reported. But the state reiterates California State Parks is not a firefighting agency and does not direct the fire response.
The case against the state has nothing to do with firefighting. That's not the focus. It has to do with the state's duties to the public as a landowner, to go up and inspect their property, to go and make sure there's nothing dangerous on their property.
We lost 12 lives here. My goal was to make sure that we held these people accountable, and most importantly, that this will never happen again, because the truth of the matter is, it's going to happen. The question is, how bad will it be?
Next week, LA City firefighters are expected to give their testimony. This will be the first time we hear from them under oath about what happened January 1st. Kathy, back to you.